Hey Cowboys fans, let's dive into the latest moves and potential opportunities for America's team as the waiver wire period approaches. One thing you need to understand right off the bat is that the waiver wire doesn't just instantly spit out all the answers. When it opens at noon on Wednesday, the first claims will go to the Tennessee Titans, who hold the top priority, and then every other team waits their turn. This creates a bit of suspense because it can take anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour before you really know who ends up where. The Cowboys historically haven't been the most aggressive team in claiming players from the waiver wire. They tend to stick to their roster, preferring to work with the talent they already have, even if there are clear gaps that could be addressed. But if you step back and look at the roster as it stands right now, there are areas that could certainly use reinforcements, and the waiver wire could be an opportunity to bring in some fresh talent, especially in positions like cornerback and the defensive line, which are currently a bit thin. Cornerback is an obvious concern. If Trayvon Diggs isn't ready to suit up in Week 1, a rookie like Zion Childress could be asked to handle the slot, which is a lot of responsibility for a first-year player. The Cowboys have looked at quarterbacks through free agency and waivers, but cornerback is a spot where adding depth could make a significant difference in the defensive strategy. And speaking of defensive line, the situation is particularly pressing. The defensive tackle room has not inspired a lot of confidence this preseason. Players like Perion Winfrey, who spent time in the UFL this spring, highlight the fact that Dallas needs some reinforcements up front. The options on the waiver wire include some intriguing names that could fit the coaching staff system. For instance, Zach Pickens from the Bears is one name worth watching. He's not the biggest defensive tackle, but he has the size and athletic profile that could fit Matt Eberflus' preferences. Listed at 6'4" and 300 pounds, Pickens was a third-round pick who never really broke out in Chicago, but could find a new opportunity in Dallas. Then there's Brick Martin from the Lions, a massive presence at 6'5" and 330 pounds. His production may not have matched his physical profile in Detroit, but sometimes what one team discards becomes another team's asset. C.J. Okoye from the Ravens is another defensive tackle to monitor. Standing around 330 pounds, he's a big-body player who could fit as a nose tackle and bring some physicality to the interior defensive line. Elijah Chapman from the Giants also presents an interesting profile. He's smaller than traditional defensive tackles, but his agility and local connection to the Dallas area could make him a versatile addition. The waiver wire isn't just about defensive tackles. Running back is another position where the Cowboys could explore options, though the crop of available players isn't particularly deep this season. Miles Sanders has struggled with injuries, and there might be creative ways to manage his roster status, such as temporarily moving him to injured reserve and bringing in another player to fill the gap. Players like Audrey Estime from the Broncos offer some power running ability, though they may not contribute much in the passing game. Damon Martinez, who had been on the Cowboys' radar during the draft, could also be a consideration, though his performance in training camp was inconsistent. Israel Abanikanda is another player with impressive measurables but limited opportunities so far, and he may still be on the radar for a team looking for explosive potential. The key for Dallas will be balancing risk and reward, deciding which players bring immediate help versus which ones are developmental projects. Corners are another area where attention is needed. Beanie Bishop from West Virginia could provide nickel coverage and speed, though his slightly shorter arm length may factor into the Cowboys' evaluation. Deary Mathis from the Broncos is another corner who might fit as an inside-outside player, offering depth and versatility. And then there's Juju Brent, a long, lanky corner who fits the prototype the Cowboys often target. He's got elite measurables for height, wingspan, and speed, and although injuries and scheme fit may have limited his opportunities, a team like Dallas could see him as a high-upside addition if he's healthy. The waiver wire also features a mix of offensive and defensive veterans who may not be star players but could fill key roles. Players like Isaiah Foskey, Aiden Malachi Corley, Tyler Scott, Cole Strange, and Kenyon Green have all been in the conversation at various points, and while not every one of them fits Dallas' immediate needs, keeping tabs on their availability could be valuable for roster flexibility. Some of these players, like Isaiah Land and Julius Wood, have been on waivers before and are fighting for spots, showing that even familiar names can suddenly become options again. The waiver process is dynamic, and teams that act decisively can turn overlooked or discarded players into contributors. Another thing to consider is how the Cowboys manage the timing of claims. The waiver process requires creating a roster spot for a new player, which must be completed by 4 p.m. Eastern, even if the claim is submitted earlier. This means there's a strategic element to the process. You can't just pick up any player without planning how they fit into the roster, including potential moves to injured reserve or practice squad assignments. For example, managing a running back like Miles Sanders while evaluating power runners on waivers could be a tactical move that maximizes depth without losing valuable roster flexibility. Overall, the waiver wire offers a mix of potential impact players, developmental projects, and strategic depth options. Defensive line and cornerback remain priorities, but running back and special teams contributions should also be considered. Every decision carries a balance of risk and reward, and the Cowboys' approach will reveal how aggressive they are willing to be in improving the roster before the season starts. With Week 1 approaching, the stakes are high, and even small additions or adjustments could influence the team's early success. Fans will be watching closely to see if Dallas seizes these opportunities or continues to rely on the current roster, which has strengths but also some evident gaps that could be addressed with timely moves. Continuing from where we left off, running back depth is going to be a critical factor for Dallas as the season gets underway. Miles Sanders has shown flashes of brilliance, but his injury history makes the roster vulnerable if he isn't fully healthy or able to contribute immediately. The waiver wire may not be loaded with elite options, but there are players who bring power running or situational versatility that could make an impact. Audrey Estime, for example, has a frame built for punishment and can push through defenders in short yardage situations. He may not have the finesse for route running or pass protection at an elite level, but his ability to move the pile could be valuable in key scenarios. Teams like Dallas often have to balance the need for explosive plays with the practical requirement of consistent, reliable yardage, and Estime fits that mold in a very specific way. Then there's Damon Martinez, a player who caught attention during the draft process but didn't fully meet expectations in training camp. Dallas had the opportunity to evaluate him during a visit and ultimately passed, but the waiver wire could provide another chance to bring him in. Martinez's athleticism is undeniable. He has the ability to contribute in both the running game and potentially on special teams if utilized properly. The question will be whether the coaching staff is willing to give him that opportunity and if his inconsistent performance is a short-term concern or a long-term developmental project. Similarly, Israel Abanikanda is another player who has the physical tools to make an impact but has yet to find the right fit. His speed and explosiveness make him intriguing, but bouncing between teams like the Jets and Packers has limited his opportunity to showcase consistent performance. In a league where every roster spot matters, Dallas will have to evaluate whether these high-upside players are worth claiming over someone with proven reliability. Moving back to cornerbacks, the depth chart and injury risk make this position a potential priority on the waiver wire. Beanie Bishop, coming out of West Virginia, has the speed and agility to cover slot receivers effectively, and his 4.39 40-yard dash time is impressive. The challenge lies in his shorter arm length, which relative to his height may not provide the ideal reach for contested passes. However, the Cowboys often prioritize players who can execute their system efficiently, and Bishop's skill set could align with that philosophy. Deary Mathis, formerly of the Denver Broncos, presents another option. While he had limited snaps last season, his ability to operate both inside and outside could give Dallas flexibility in nickel and dime packages. Versatility is often the deciding factor when teams make waiver claims, and Mathis' profile suggests he could slide into multiple roles if necessary. Then there's Juju Brent, arguably the most intriguing cornerback prospect currently available. Standing nearly 6 feet 3 inches and weighing 198 pounds, Brent combines size, wingspan, and speed in a rare package. His 3-cone drill and broad jump numbers are elite, signaling exceptional agility and explosiveness. He has struggled with injuries and limited opportunities in his previous stints, but a team like Dallas that values length, athleticism, and upside might see him as a reclamation project capable of contributing immediately if healthy. His potential fit in the Cowboys' defensive scheme makes him a particularly compelling target, as he embodies the type of physical traits that often translate well into the NFL when properly coached and conditioned. The defensive line is another area where waiver wire decisions could make a significant difference. Zach Pickens from the Bears offers a connection to the coaching staff through Matt Eberflus and presents a solid frame at 6 feet 4 inches and 300 pounds. While he hasn't had a breakout season in Chicago, his familiarity with similar systems and potential for growth could make him an under-the-radar asset. Brick Martin of the Lions brings a massive physical presence at 6 feet 5 inches and 330 pounds. Even with limited statistical production in Detroit, Martin's size alone could create matchup advantages against run-heavy opponents. C.J. Okoye of the Ravens, sometimes listed as Basil, provides an additional big-bodied option with experience in rotational schemes. Elijah Chapman of the Giants, although undersized, offers agility and local familiarity, which can be advantageous for scouting and development. Defensive tackles aside, linebacker depth is another potential area of focus. Players like Isaiah Simmons, recently cut by the Packers, have shown flashes of playmaking ability in previous seasons but may now face a critical juncture in their careers. Adding experienced or versatile linebacker from the waiver wire could provide rotational options and help manage snap counts, especially as the season progresses and injuries inevitably occur. Similarly, Shai Tuttle and Cam Akers have fluctuated in availability, representing potential veteran depth if circumstances align. Special teams and situational contributors also warrant attention. Players who can execute in coverage units, provide reliable tackling in open field, or create mismatches on return plays are often overlooked but can dramatically impact game outcomes. Mike Hilton, Dane Jackson, and Nick Needham each bring skill sets that might make them attractive additions to the Cowboys if available. Teams often underestimate the value of depth in these areas until the first missed tackle or blown coverage underscores its importance. Offensively, the waiver wire could also provide supplemental options. Running backs like Aiden Malachi-Corley, though initially considered for receiver roles, could be converted back to their natural positions to exploit their ball-carrying skills. Tyler Scott's speed and versatility, Cole Strain's experience on the offensive line, and Kenyon Green's potential for interior or tackle play all create scenarios where mid-tier or previously overlooked players can contribute meaningfully if they fit the scheme. The key is matching skill sets to specific roster gaps and anticipating the team's needs over the first quarter of the season, when injuries and underperformance can reveal weaknesses that must be addressed quickly. Ultimately, the waiver wire period is about preparation, foresight, and strategic execution. Whether it's defensive line reinforcements, cornerback depth, running back rotation, or situational special teams contributors, Dallas has multiple options to explore. Fans should watch closely to see how aggressive the team will be in addressing these needs and which players are targeted. The decisions made in this period will have ripple effects throughout the early season and could influence the team's trajectory in subtle but meaningful ways. In a league where every roster spot counts and injuries are inevitable, even small additions can tip the balance in favor of success. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The news coming out of Dallas has sent shockwaves through the American football community, leaving fans, analysts, and even casual observers buzzing with speculation and excitement. The Cowboys, one of the most iconic franchises in the National Football League, have reportedly made a bold move that not only defies conventional expectations, but also challenges the very traditions that have defined the sport for decades. Word is spreading quickly that Isaac Alarcón, the Mexican offensive lineman who has been quietly working his way through practice squads and development programs, has now been elevated to a prominent role on the roster. This sudden rise has people wondering whether the Cowboys are simply making a marketing play to appeal to their massive Mexican fan base, or whether they truly believe Alarcon possesses the talent to compete at the highest level. Regardless of the motivation, the timing of the announcement is significant, coinciding with a wave of global attention on inclusivity, internationalization, and the growth of American football beyond U.S. borders. Fans are already reacting with a mixture of surprise and pride, and the rumor mill suggests that this decision could be about much more than football. It could be about redefining the Cowboys' identity for the modern era. As whispers echo through locker rooms and media outlets, the focus has shifted to what this means for the team's dynamics on the field and in the locker room. Alarcon, whose journey has been characterized by perseverance, discipline, and a relentless work ethic, is now being thrust into a spotlight that very few believed would ever shine on him. Insiders suggest that coaches have been quietly impressed with his physicality, his commitment to improvement, and his ability to adapt to complex playbooks. Yet, others argue that the NFL is a ruthless environment where sentimentality cannot mask shortcomings, and they question whether Alarcon can truly match up against the relentless pace and brutal strength of seasoned defensive linemen. Still, the Cowboys' decision to elevate him signals a clear willingness to take risks and embrace narratives that go beyond mere performance. Some reports claim that veteran players are supportive, recognizing how his story could energize not only the locker room, but also millions of fans across borders. But doubts remain, and those doubts fuel the intrigue. Could this be a publicity stunt, or are the Cowboys uncovering a hidden gem who will reshape the very perception of international players in the NFL? The reaction across Mexico has been nothing short of euphoric, with headlines already celebrating Alarcon as a symbol of national pride and perseverance. Sports bars in Monterrey, where the player hails from, have erupted with cheers as if a historic victory had already been secured. Analysts in Mexico view this not only as a personal triumph for Alarcon, but as validation that Mexican athletes can indeed break into the most competitive American leagues when given genuine opportunities. The Cowboys, long aware of their enormous fan base south of the border, have cleverly positioned themselves as more than just a football team. They're now seen as cultural ambassadors bridging two nations. This strategy, whether by design or by chance, places them at the forefront of international sports marketing and cements their reputation as pioneers willing to shake up the status quo. Meanwhile, skeptics in the U.S. media continue to downplay the significance, dismissing the move as a gimmick to sell more jerseys and secure broadcasting deals. Yet even the critics cannot deny the surge of interest, ticket sales, and merchandise inquiries that have followed the announcement. Alarcon's name is trending globally, and his story is capturing imaginations far beyond typical football circles. Behind the scenes, sources close to the Cowboys organization suggest that this announcement has been months in the making, with careful deliberation between coaching staff, executives, and marketing strategists. Alarcon's work during training camps reportedly turned heads, not because he dominated drills, but because he demonstrated a consistent ability to learn, adjust, and respond to coaching with maturity rarely seen in younger players. That, combined with his imposing size and raw strength, made him impossible to ignore. Insiders whisper that some assistant coaches have been pushing for his inclusion in game plans for weeks, while higher-ups weighed the broader impact on the team's image. Now that the decision is public, the stakes are enormous. If Alarcon thrives, the Cowboys will be hailed as visionaries who broke barriers and unearthed a new kind of talent pipeline. But if he falters, critics will use it as evidence that the franchise prioritizes spectacle over substance. Either way, the Cowboys have already won the narrative battle by dominating headlines and sparking debates across talk shows, podcasts, and social media feeds. The tension between opportunity and skepticism makes this one of the most compelling storylines of the current season. The broader implication of this development extends far beyond the Cowboys themselves, raising questions about the future of the NFL and its relationship with international talent. Could Isaac Alarcon's rise inspire a wave of scouting across Mexico and other nations where football has long been a passion but lacked institutional support? Could his success, if it materializes, be the catalyst for expansion games, new sponsorship deals, and perhaps even developmental leagues across Latin America? Fans whisper about the possibility of the NFL finally embracing a truly global identity, and Alarcon stands at the center of that conversation as both symbol and test case. Within this storm of speculation, one thing is certain. The Cowboys have dared to do what few teams would even consider, blending sports with cultural diplomacy in a way that feels as risky as it does revolutionary. For now, all eyes remain fixed on Dallas, waiting to see if this gamble will pay off in victories on the field or if it will unravel under the weight of unrealistic expectations. Either way, the buzz surrounding Alarcon ensures that his name and the Cowboys' daring move will not fade from public consciousness anytime soon. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.